Scientists from the U.S. and the Wuhan lab joined up on experiments that involved making bat coronavirus more infectious to try to invent a vaccine. It's called gain-of-function research, and it's controversial because it could create a lethal virus that escapes and causes a pandemic. So risky, the U.S. temporarily halted such studies in 2014. But an exception was made. The gain-of-function research underway by the U.S. and Wuhan scientists was reviewed and approved for continued study by the National Institutes of Health, or NIH. NIH didn't only approve the research, it paid for it with 6 grants of tax dollars, including from the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, led by Dr. Anthony Fauci. More taxpayer money from Fauci's Institute and the U.S. Agency for International Development was funneled through EcoHealth Alliance to the coronavirus research with China. EcoHealth Alliance is a New York-based nonprofit led by Peter Daszak, a zoologist who specializes in viruses transmitted from animals to people. Also working on the research, Ralph Barrick at the University of North Carolina. His work centered on genetically manipulating coronavirus, in part to allow for development of vaccines and therapeutics. Together, they teamed up with a renowned Chinese virologist nicknamed Batwoman at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, Shijing Li. They engineered genetic hybrids of bat coronaviruses, successfully getting them to infect human airway cells grafted in mice.
You can manipulate them in the lab pretty easily.
Daszak talked about the collaboration in this interview just before the COVID-19 outbreak. He says the team's research was designed to stop coronavirus from crossing into people and to help develop a vaccine for the resulting illness, SARS.
The logical progression for vaccines is if you're going to develop a vaccine for SARS, people are going to use pandemic SARS as
sure.
But let's try and insert some of these other related and get a better vaccine.
As far back as 2015, numerous independent scientists objected to the gain-of-function research with China. In a published paper, a virologist at the Pasteur Institute in Paris noted the research had produced an engineered novel coronavirus that grows remarkably well in human cells, and if the virus escaped, nobody could predict the trajectory. A biodefense expert added, the only impact of this work is the creation in a lab of a new, non-natural risk. In 2018, the year before China's outbreak, U.S. State Department science diplomats visited the Wuhan Institute of Virology. They said the research conducted on bat coronaviruses was critically important. But they were so concerned about safety issues at the lab, they dispatched sensitive cables to Washington, D.C., warning that the work posed a possible risk of a new SARS-like pandemic. Josh Rogan at the Washington Post later obtained and published the cables.
Obviously, there are a number of theories.
For his part, Fauci responded to Redfield's opinion that COVID-19 escaped from the Wuhan lab without addressing his agency's funding of research at issue.
So Dr. Redfield was mentioning that he was giving an opinion as to a possibility. But again, there are other alternatives, others that most people hold by.
We wanted to hear more from Fauci and the scientists involved to get their perspectives on the controversy, but Fauci declined our interview request. So did Barrick at the University of North Carolina, as did Daszak, who leads EcoHealth Alliance. As the question is debated, 5 scientists who spoke with me said the sensitive U.S. research with China should never have been allowed. One source, a medical doctor, says it was irresponsible to partner with China on how to make coronavirus more infectious. Another, also a medical doctor and a biodefense expert, says, hell no, it's not a good idea. China has an active bioweapons program, a very good one, and you're going to cooperate with them on gain-of-function research? Somebody's IQ dropped sharply when that decision was made. She, of the Wuhan Institute of Virology, has been firm in her denial of anything to do with COVID-19, calling it nature's punishment on the human race. I swear on my own life that the virus has no connection with the laboratory, she said in a statement. To those people who believe in and are spreading the rumors perpetrated by third-rate media outlets, I would like to give this advice: shut your dirty mouths.
Dr. Fauci, do you still support funding of the NIH funding of the lab in Wuhan?
Senator Paul, with all due respect, you are entirely and completely incorrect that the NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain-of-function research in the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
Do they fund Dr. Barrick?
We do not fund.
Do you fund Dr. Barrick's gain-of-function research?
Dr. Barrett does not doing gain-of-function research, and if it is, it's according to the guidelines, and it is being conducted in North Carolina, not
You don't think inserting
in China.
a bat virus spike protein that he got from the Wuhan Institute into the SARS virus is gain-of-function?
That is
You would
not
be in the minority because at least 200 scientists have signed a statement from the Cambridge Working Group saying that it is gain-of-function.
Well, it is not. And if you look at the grant and you look at the progress reports, it is not gain-of-function, despite the fact that people tweet that.
So do you still support sending money to the Wuhan Virology Institute?
We do not send money now to the Wuhan Virology.
We do not send money now to the Wuhan Virology.
Sending money. We did, under your tutelage, we were sending it through EcoHealth. It was a sub-agency and a sub-grant. Do you support the money from NIH that was going to the Wuhan Institute?
Let me explain to you why that was done. The SARS-CoV-1 originated in bats in China. It would have been irresponsible of us if we did not investigate the bat viruses and the serology to see who might have been infected.
Or perhaps it would be irresponsible
China.
to send it to the Chinese government that we may not be able to trust with this knowledge and with this incredibly dangerous viruses. Government scientists like yourself who favor gain-of-function research.
I don't favor gain-of-function research in China. You are saying things that are not correct.
Government defenders of gain-of-function, such as yourself, say that COVID-19 mutations were random and not designed by man. But interestingly, the technique that Dr. Barrick developed forces mutations by serial passage through cell culture that the mutations appear to be natural. In fact, Dr. Barrick named the technique the no-see-em technique because the mutations appear naturally. Nicholas Baker of the New York Magazine said nobody would know if the virus had been fabricated in a laboratory or grown in nature. Government authorities in the U.S., including yourself, unequivocally deny that COVID-19 could have escaped a lab. But even Dr. Shi in Wuhan wasn't so sure. According to Nicholas Baker, Dr. Shi wondered, could this new virus have come from her own laboratory? She checked her records frantically and found no matches. That really took a load off my mind, she said. I had not slept for days. The director of the gain-of-function research in Wuhan couldn't sleep because she was terrified that it might be in her lab. Dr. Barrick, an advocate of gain-of-function research, admits the main problem that the Institute of Virology has is the outbreak occurred in close proximity. What are the odds? Barrick responded, could you rule out a laboratory escape? The answer in this case is probably not. Will you, in front of this group, categorically say that the COVID-19 could not have occurred through serial passage in a laboratory?
I do not have any accounting of what the Chinese may have done, and I'm fully in favor of any further investigation of what went on in China. However, I will repeat again, the NIH and NIAID categorically has not funded gain-of-function research to be conducted in the Wuhan Institute of Virology.